I think this is also taking place in things like Twitter and things that are now minute by minute, step by step. This is actually from last week as well, where I knew that 11 minutes ago, this guy sent this from a text. I knew that somewhere, 11 minutes ago, he was somewhere with his cell phone, and based on just context cues, I can tell here that he was probably on I-5. So we're even tracking people as they go beyond things. Again, what do I do with this? I have no idea. But the fact is that as this increases, I become more reliant on it. I almost need to know where students are at any given time. And again, given the idea that this is becoming more popular and that idea that students may think they want this or need this, this is the new Facebook page, or this is them advertising the new Facebook page, where they say you can now track your friends in real time. You can know exactly what they're doing right now. Again, what are we supposed to do with that? We really don't know just yet. Of course, many students want these features and see this harmless exposure to friends and other people who can affect them. But when I see types of things like these, and I think there's many more examples out there, the thing that I keep coming back to is that it's this again. It's this idea that it could be a faceless authority. I know that I can see who else is there, but they can see me. And what we need to start thinking about in terms of authority of the extracurriculum is that as people see us, we can't control who they are. They could be teachers, they could be friends, they could be our parents, they could be the police. Going back to that Wired example from earlier, what happened is he started it for about 2 days, where he was Twittering, Flickr, all these different things of telling people where he was. On Flickr, though, he had pictures of his entire apartment, his big screen TV, his stereo, things like that. And his wife was at home when he was going to a conference that he had just tweeted about, I'll be out of town for the next week. And his wife said, you need to pull that off right now. They're going to see that they can get good consumer goods and me and come straight to us, right? Because we don't know who's there, and because it could be this type of faceless authority figure, and because we don't know how to control it or what to do with it yet, I think these things are worth talking about. However, as I mentioned earlier, the autonomy is closely related to authority in the extracurriculum. As Yancey and Gear mentioned, desire seems to be a defining factor in the extracurriculum writer's feeling of autonomy. So I think there's a connection between autonomy and desire. Going back to Deidre Reynolds' observations at the University of Leeds, where she actually asked University of Leeds students, what do you consider desirable about a place? Some of the responses were pretty common. I think most of us probably saying the same things about familiarity, there was a sense of community, I kind of knew how to get around. But one student said that she felt that it was desirable if there was a police station nearby, that there was an authority figure. And that was my reaction too, right? I started laughing. I thought, well, that's funny. But then think about it. I know I've been on a bus late at night several times where it's just me, and then someone kind of strange gets on. And all of a sudden, I love that bus driver, right? He is my one link. I'm sure the same thing's happening if you've ever been in an airport or a hospital, and you need answers. You're frantic, you're nervous, you're hurried. You look for uniforms. You look for that authority figure. So I think what we start doing as we map this extracurriculum is realizing that the extracurriculum is not just things lacking authority. They do have authority, but that authority can also be something that's very desirable. Authority can actually be something that we want to come back to. And this is what I mean when I say mapping the extracurriculum, is realizing that as we move the extracurriculum into the academic, what we need to do is start looking more for their similarities than their differences. And that binary, I think, is being caused by 30 years of only seeing what the extracurriculum is not compared to the class. So I just think we have a few final questions that I don't have answers for, and I don't know if you have answers for, but hopefully we can all begin to question and come up with answers for. And is the old extracurriculum still defined by a lack of authority? And I think the better question is, should it be? Should we only define something as something that does not have an authority figure as something that's good and desirable and exciting? Is the virtual space the new kitchen table for writing? And again, should it be? And then finally, how do we transition from extracurriculum to academic space? And should we? There's a lot of talk about that we should bring in these new 21st century skills into the classroom without actually understanding what those skills are and where they're taking place, and how once we transfer those skills to the classroom, that might be worthless, or they might do something we don't expect them to do. And the conclusion that I've at least come to is that by looking at space and teaching our students to look at space as a space that does afford you some autonomy, but also does have elements of authority that we may or may not control, that we may or may not be used to, that is going to allow us to transition those skills and then to reduce these binaries to the point where they can actually be good for us, as opposed to something we need to work against. That's all I got. So thank you very much.